Cooldowns. Should we be doing cooldowns after physical activity? And what should we be doing? The answer might surprise you. So the general idea behind the cooldown is to calmly and gradually return the body back to a more relaxed state by assisting the body in the process of lactate and other acids that had built up through the activity, and release any tension that had built up in the muscles by stretching them out and preventing chronic injury over the long term. Well, recent studies are pointing in another direction. There's a very interesting research paper here, authored by Bas van Horen and Jonathan M. Peek in Sports Medicine. And it's quite a long paper. I want to keep this short, so I'm just going to skip straight to the conclusions. Here we are. Although there are many proposed benefits of an active cooldown compared with a passive cooldown, this review shows that only a few of these benefits are supported by research. Most importantly, we have provided evidence that an active cooldown generally does not improve and may even negatively affect performance later during the same day when the time between successive training sessions or competitions is more than 4 hours. Similarly, an active cooldown has likely no substantial effects on next day's sports performance, but can potentially enhance next day's performance in some individuals. With regard to the long-term effects, a cooldown does not likely prevent injuries, and preliminary evidence suggests that an active cooldown after every training session does not attenuate and may even enhance the long-term adaptive response. This review shows that an active cooldown does generally lead to a faster removal of lactate in blood, but the practical relevance of this finding is questionable, especially because lactate is not necessarily removed faster from muscle tissue, and because lactate may not be the cause of metabolic acidosis. Furthermore, an active cooldown can partially prevent the depression of circulating immune cell counts after exercise. However, it is unknown whether this also leads to fewer infections and illnesses. An active cooldown can also result in a faster recovery of the cardiovascular and respiratory system after exercise, but it remains unknown whether this leads to a reduction in the number of post-exercise syncopes and cardiovascular complications. In contrast, an active cooldown generally does not significantly reduce delayed onset muscle soreness or improve the recovery of indirect markers of muscle damage. It also does not significantly alter the recovery of the neuromuscular and contractile properties, improve range of motion, or attenuate musculotendinous stiffness following exercise, and may even interfere with glycogen resynthesis. So what all that basically means is cooldowns aren't as important as we thought they were. And if you're the type to skip your cooldown at the end of a workout, it's probably fine. When you read further into the research paper, it does state that it's down to the participant's preference. I personally will always do a cooldown after a workout, and instruct my clients to do so as well, for two very, very important reasons. Firstly, after finishing a workout, your body has just expended a lot of energy. It has just burnt off a whole heap of glycogen from the muscles, which means any activity you do furthermore is probably going to be fueled by your body's fat stores. So this is a great opportunity to burn that little bit of extra fat from the body. The second reason, a cooldown is a great opportunity, and probably the best time, to do any prescribed static stretches. A lot of people have postural abnormalities or a history of postural abnormalities that's grown into chronic injury. For example, a lot of people have shoulders rolled forward, which means these muscles are tight and the muscles in the back are too loose or weak. So you stretch those muscles to address that issue. Same goes for really tight hamstrings, that's another common one. Tight glutes. Knock knees, which is where the muscles on the inside of the leg are tighter and the muscles on the outside of the leg are weaker. Stretches really do help with that. The idea is to stretch the tightened muscle and strengthen the weakened muscle. So static stretching is a very important part of addressing these issues. That's why I'll always push people to do their cooldowns. But if my clients run out of time and they've got to go, it's no big deal if they skip it. If they do have prescribed stretches, I'll ask them to do them later. Otherwise, if you don't have any prescribed stretches and you've got no postural abnormalities, skipping the cooldown, it's not a big deal. Now, while the advice I've just given you may contradict what I've been taught in my personal training education, the fact is, I can't argue with credible research. That research paper that I had quoted was very thorough and very credible. I can't argue with it. It's also consistent with my own personal experience, not just as a personal trainer, but also as a client of personal trainers, and just my experience with fitness in general. Skipping a cooldown has never really presented a problem for me or my clients, or other personal trainers I've worked with or worked under. With the exception of when I was rehabilitating my spine. I was this close to being a paraplegic due to some very serious postural abnormalities, and if I ever skipped those remedial stretches, I'd be having some problems. Otherwise, for a perfectly healthy person, skipping a cooldown, it's probably fine. Okay, I've repeated myself enough there, so I'm going to go. Bye bye, see you in the next video.